Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study or science, Sattology means a science of truth or study of truth. Uh, on the other hand, myth is an ancient Sanskrit word which means a lie, fake, or imagination. It was, and again, the colonial, faith-based colonialists, I call them faith-based colonialists as per my first book, they they created the word mythology to say, because the only one history was recorded very well, and that was the Indian history. And so they called the entire Vedic scriptures as mythology, or something which has no scientific basis, astronomical basis, archaeological basis. And we find that that word actually damaged a lot of ancient Indian history and civilization, mostly people's faith in that. So in our shows, we try to attempt to bring you what was lost and try to reinforce. Many of you already know it, some of you may not know it, but it's a great idea to revisit them and rediscuss them. So today I have a very special guest joining us from India, southern part of India, which is as much a part of Vedic civilization as the northern part or many other parts of the world. And he has joined us. He's an ophthalmologist. He's a doctor. He's eye specialist, and he's also opening our eyes. And he is his passion is this area. He doesn't take money for this, but he just does it out of service to all of us. So without delay, let us welcome Dr. M.L. Raja.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Dr. Raja, it's very dark around you.
No, the power supply is gone. It will come now.
Okay.
But internet connection is there. I am having UPS. So
Okay.
it will come soon.
Okay.
2-3 minutes.
2-3 minutes?
They will start computer, the generator.
Okay.
No problem. 2-3 minutes it will.
Okay.
Within minutes it will come.
All right. Should we wait for that time?
Okay, we can wait 2-3 minutes just to. It has come. We can start.
So, Dr. Raja, one very interesting thing is there, because generally when we talk about the ancient Indian history and Vedic culture, everybody starts putting questions whether it happened or not happened. And this is a general talk, and we already done so many shows on that, but still those doubts don't go away. Many people just like the videos and say thumbs up and do some comments, but this knowledge is not spreading very far in the society. Why do you think is that?
First of all, in India, it is all because of Thomas Babington Macaulay, who introduced an educational system, that is Macaulay education system, in the 1835 February 2nd, the minutes of education. Based on that, the idea is to put in our mind that anything Indian is inferior. So we lived with that ideology, that mindset for nearly 200 years. So that is the actual cause for not believing even Mahabharata. See, one of my classmates, when I give a lecture on this astronomical evidence of Mahabharata, after listening, she's a doctor at Coimbatore, postgraduate doctor. She called me that so far I thought that Mahabharata was a myth. Only after listening your lecture and you have given proofs for all events, then I started believing. Even my in-laws, those who went to Dwaraka and they gave evidence. Now I believe it. So it is all because of Macaulay education system. We believe that anything Indian is inferior, anything Western is superior. That is the problem. Even before 1800, if you study any text, it won't call Mahabharata as a myth, Ramayana as a myth. But only it all happened after 1850 or 1900. So we have to remove all these things and we have to put facts in the society. How much we work hard, then it will give result. So we have to continuously work for. They have worked. English people worked for 100 years to create this mindset. So we have to at least work for 50 years to clear that mindset. So for that, we have to work combinedly with patriotism, with love and affection to our nation and our custom, culture, heritage. Like that, we have to work. Then only we can achieve. We will definitely achieve. One day, everybody will realize. Now, most of my classmates realize that Mahabharata is a history after my lecture. So slowly it will spread.
So, so let's get started here. So today we are talking about the astronomical proofs of the 24-point proof of Mahabharata, and which will give us an idea about what are the dates of Mahabharat war and the Mahabharat era. And one thing before you start the presentation, just tell one thing. Some people say that in the Vedic Kal period, they refer to Vedic Kal as in the past. But
Yes.
since it is cyclical, it is still going on. Kali Yuga is still going on, isn't it? So Vedic Kal never
Yes.
ends because the time, you cannot say that the watch was relevant yesterday. Watch is working today also.
Yes. See, we are the only nation in the ancient time itself we called time as cyclical. The Westerners thought time is linear. Only after Albert Einstein and his theory of relativity and general and special theory of relativity and his famous equation E is equal to mc square. After that, only the scientists thought time is cyclical. But our ancestors, thousands and thousands of years before itself, mentioned time is cyclical. So you should understand, time is always cyclical.
Let's get started, Dr. Raja.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Namaskar to all. In this session, I am going to talk about the date of Mahabharata war. What are all the astronomical events that were described within the text of Mahabharata of Veda Vyasa, and based on that, how can we derive and fix the Mahabharata date? If you see the events, astronomical events described coherently and continuously, they itself prove that Mahabharata is a history. With that introduction, let me go. Before arriving the date of Mahabharata war and analyzing Mahabharata, we should understand deriving Mahabharata war through astronomy should be coherent, consistent, harmonious, corroborative with other historical events that happened after Mahabharata war chronologically. What are the historical events? That is Kali Yuga epoch. It has been proved through literature and also Sankalpa Mantra and also astronomical text Purana. And also it has been proved through epigraphical evidence, which I have discussed, 436 plus inscriptions that clearly show that Kali Yuga began in 3101 BCE. So the date of Mahabharata war should be corroborative and harmonious with this Kali Yuga beginning date 3101 BCE. And Saptarishi era. Saptarishi era is mentioned by Vriddha Garga, Varaki Migra, and many astronomers. So, even Kali Yuga Rajavriddhanta elaborately describes Saptarishi Mandala movement, that is Great Beard movement. So, it should be coherent with that. And also the Purana, Matsya Purana, Vayu Purana, Brahma Purana, Brahmanda Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana describe the chronology. That is regnal periods of each king of each dynasty of three kingdoms, that is Pandava, Ikshvaku, Magadha dynasty. So in that each king's regnal year is clearly given. So that should be corroborative with the date of Mahabharata war. And this Kalidasa and the Jaisalmer inscription and Bhavishya Mahaprana, these describe from how many years after this Yudhishthira, the Vikrama and Salivagana and Sakayara began. That also should be corroborated. And the writings of Aryabhatta, Vriddhagarga, Parakimera, Kalidasa, that also should be satisfied. Based on this, collectively only we have to fix the Mahabharata date based on astronomy. Yes, for individually, just based on astronomy alone, we cannot fix because it has to be coherent and harmonious with other data. And in internal evidence of Mahabharata, that is when Mahabharata happened. In many Parva, Vedavyasa told that Mahabharata happened at the tag end of Dwapara Yuga. These are all the sloka number and adhyaya number. In Adi Parva, Vana Parva, Salya Parva, Mausala Parva, Santi Parva, Mahaprasthanika Parva, Stri Parva, Bhishma Parva, and Sabha Parva. All this clearly mention that the Mahabharata war was fought at the tag end of Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga is yet to begin. See, for example, in Adi Parva, it mentioned Andre Chaiva Samprapte Kali Dwaparayo Booth. So, Kali Dwapara junction, that at that period only Mahabharata war happened. In Sabha Parva, clearly mentioned Kali Dwara Upastitam. That is, Kali Yuga is at the doorsteps. It has not begun. In the Bhishma Parva, Sanjaya mentioned to Dhritarashtra, Dwapare Sampratam. That is, this Yuga is Dwapara. In the 15th sloka of the 10th Adhyaya, he mentioned, Sankshepe Vartate Rajan Dwapare San Asmin. That means Dwapara is very little is there, and Kali Yuga is at the doorsteps. So, at the tag end of Dwapara Yuga only Mahabharata happened. In the same way, Stri Parva, Maushala Parva, Santi Parva, Mahaprasthanika Parva, all clearly points to this one. That is, Mahabharata war happened at the tag end of Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga is going to begin very soon. Now, coming to the actual subject. We have to keep in mind all these points. Then only we can understand. The astronomical events described in Mahabharata. I have taken 24 points to prove the date of Mahabharata. First one is, the foremost one is, in the Udyoga Parva, 83rd Adhyaya and 6th and 7th sloka, it mentions as Kaumudi Mase Revatyam Saradhande Himagame. That is, Kaumudi means Kartika month. Kartika month, Revati Nakshatra, Sarad, that is the end part of Sarad. That is, Sarad Ritu is going to complete very soon, and Hemanta Ritu is going to come very soon. On that day, at early Muhurta, Sri Krishna went to Hastinapura on peace mission. That is an important thing. So, after peace mission and its failure only, the Mahabharata war started. So, this shows that Mahabharata war started at the tag end of Kartika month or at the beginning of Margashirsha month. That we can infer from this sloka. And the second sloka is also related to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna told Karna, on returning from the failed peace mission in Hastinapura, that war had to be started at Amavasya, that will fall on 7th day. And this day is presided by Indra. He used the word Sakra Devata. What do you mean by Sakra Devata? In Apte Dictionary, Monier Williams Dictionary, and Vaijayanti Kosa, yes, for even Veda Vyasa in Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva, 3rd 16, that Sakra is Indra, and Indra is the presiding deity of Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So that Amavasya falls on 7th day, and war has to be started on that day, and that day the Nakshatra is Jyeshtha Nakshatra. That means moon coincides with Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Whatever Nakshatra of the day, we can infer from that statement that moon is in that Nakshatra, in conjunction with that Nakshatra. This is a sloka, Saptamachapi, Divasat, that is 7th day. Amavasya Bhavishyati. Amavasya is going to happen in future tense. Sangramo, that is Yuddha. Yujyadam, to be joined. Tasyam Tamahugu Sakra Devata. So, Yuddha has to join on that Amavasya day. That is the thing. And moon and sun are afflicting Rohini. So, because Amavasya happened on Jyeshtha Nakshatra, and from that we can infer that moon is in conjunction with Jyeshtha Nakshatra. And because Amavasya is there, so sun and moon should be in the same longitude. That is the only thing that we call Amavasya. Ama means along with, staying with. Vasya means staying with one. That is, moon and sun are staying with each other. So that is why it is called Amavasya. So Amavasya day, sun and moon will be in the same longitude when seen from Earth. So moon and sun are Jesha Nachatra. From there, by seventh Drishti, they can aspect the Rohini Nachatra. That is the inference. And another thing about Amavasya, Vyasa mentioned that Amavasya occurred ill-timely on the 13th day from the Paurnami. Sadurdasim, Panchadasim, Bhutapurvim, Sodashim, Imam tu na Abhijano Akam Amavasya. That Triyodasim, that is Triyodasim is an important word. 13th day. Usually Amavasya, that is Amavasya means new moon. Paurnami means full moon. The gap between Paurnami and new moon, that is full moon and new moon, will be at least 14 days or 15 days is the normal thing. It may extend up to 16th day. But it is a bad sign that during Mahabharata period, that Amavasya, the new moon, occurred on the 13th day itself from full moon. That is a bad effect. And lunar and solar eclipse in the same month at 13 days. That is another thing. Sandra Surya Ubho Grasta. Sandra Surya, we know, Ubho, both. Grasta, that is they are eclipsed Triyodasim. That is on the 13th day interval, the same month. And moon is in bad shape during Kartika Paurnami. That is Kartikim Paurnamasi Kartikim. So on the Kartika month, Paurnami, moon is not good. That is moon also eclipsed. And this Rahu is approaching sun. Karna to Sri Krishna and Vyasa to Dhritarashtra both tell Arkam Rahur Upaidisa. That is Rahur Arkam Upaidisa. Arka means sun. So Rahu is approaching sun. Rahu is nothing but ascending node of moon. Scientifically, it is also there. Because Rahu and Ketu are nothing but the cutting points of imaginary points where the moon's orbit around the earth and earth's orbit around the sun cut each other. So it is an imaginary point, and even modern astronomy accepts that there is a point like that, and it has an effect on earth. That is also proved with modern astronomy. So that when moon reaches that point only, there will be eclipse. So that's why Rahu and Ketu are thought that they are the cause of eclipse in Hindu astronomy. Moon away from Rahu and Ketu, there won't be any eclipse. Away from ascending and descending node. So that point is important for causing eclipse. So Rahu is approaching sun. So there is a solar eclipse. The Amavasya is a Jesha Nachatra, and Rahu and sun difference of longitude must be less than 15.4 to 18.4 degree. So Rahu also should be at Jesha Nachatra, or just a few degrees, 2 or 3 degrees away from Jesha Nachatra. So we have, from this sloka, we have fixed the position of sun, moon, and Rahu. And Saturn. Saturn is affecting Rohini Nakshatra. Some scholars think that it stays at Rohini Nakshatra. But in the second part of the sloka, Pidayati Pidayam Praninam Adhikam. That is, it affects the animals. So if we say that it affects the animals, we cannot take it that Saturn is stayed along with the animal. So by its drishti or aspect, it affected the animal. In the same way, by its aspect, it affected the Rohini Nakshatra. In the same way, Saturn is afflicting Rohini. Vyasa told Dhritarashtra. That is one point for Saturn. And Saturn is overcoming and afflicting Purva Palguni Nakshatra, as per Bhishma Parva. So it affects the Purva Palguni Nakshatra, which is within the Simha zodiac sign. That is another point for Saturn. And the most important sloka is Jupiter and Saturn. That is Brihaspati and Sanaichara are nearer to Visakha Nakshatra. Visakhayaha Samipasto Brihaspati Sanaichara. Brihaspati is Jupiter, the Deva Guru. And Sanaichara. Why Sanaichara is? Sara means moving, Sanai means slow. The angular velocity of all the Navagraha, the Saturn's angular velocity is the very low. Even in modern science, out of Navagraha, the lowest velocity is for Saturn. our ancestors knew all these things. That's why they named it as Sanaichara. And Brihaspati is known as Guru because it is the largest of the planet on the solar system. So our naming itself is very correct, and both are nearer to Visakha Nakshatra. Visakha Nakshatra is situated in Tula, Virichika zodiac sign. So these two are either in Tula zodiac sign or Virichika zodiac sign. So another thing we have completed. Two things. And Jupiter is aspecting Rohini Nakshatra. That means either Tula or Virichika for Jupiter means it has to aspect Rohini Nakshatra by its seventh drishti. So it should be in Virichika Nakshatra. So that we completed in Mars and Jupiter and Saturn. Then coming to Mars. Mars is acting cruelly at Maha Nakshatra and Jupiter is acting at Sravana Nakshatra. So another point for Sravana. So from this Virichika zodiac sign, it should affect Sravana in Makara zodiac sign. That also should be satisfied. Then another point for Mars is cruelly acted at Jyesha Nakshatra, but it goes nearer to Anuradha Nakshatra. Anuradha Nakshatra is a previous Nakshatra to Jyesha. So the Mars may be situated in front of Anuradha, that is either Vishaga or in the previous Nakshatra. That is the location of Mars. And another point for Mars is it affected Sarvana Nakshatra. So that also our derivation of the date should be satisfied. Then coming to Venus, what Bhishma Parva told that it is rove upon and imposed Purva Bhadrapada. Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada are in the Meena zodiac sign. So Venus has only seventh drishti, so it may be at Kanya zodiac sign. That is the inference we got from this point. And the seven Mahagraha starting from Sun are separating and issuing out during Karna Parva, that is after 14th day of war. So before that, the seven Mahagraha, they are in one zodiac sign. That is the important point we infer from this sloka. So from all this sloka, we came to understand the position of Sun, Moon, Rahu, and based on Rahu, the Ketu position, and also certain Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, all Navagrahas position, we can assess from all these statements. And we have seen that Paurnamis and Kritika Nakshatra in the Kartika month, 13 days before Amavasya, and a lunar eclipse occurred because Vyasa told that both lunar and solar eclipse occurred in the same month, 13 days interval. So on Kritika Nakshatra, when moon was there in the Kartika month, there was a lunar eclipse and there was a solar eclipse at Jyesha Nakshatra, Rahu Grasta solar eclipse, that we should understand. And Ketu should be 180 degrees away from Rahu because they are the cutting point, I told. If you keep two bangles at the same horizontal plane, it won't cut. But if you tilt one bangle to certain degree, 45 degree or 30 degree, then these two bangles cut each other at 2 points. And these 2 points are nothing but the Rahu and Ketu, and the cutting point is exactly 180 degree away from each other. So if you see your horoscope Jataka, you can see that Rahu and Ketu are always separated by 180 degree. So that we can verify. And what is the elongation limit of Mercury? That what do you mean by elongation limit? That Mercury should be how much away from Sun? What is the limit, maximum limit? That is 18 to 28 degree from Sun. The Mercury's position, what we derive, should be only within 28 degree from Sun. We already fixed that Sun is in Jyesha Nakshatra. So Mercury should be 18 degree or 28 degree this way or that. And also the Venus also should be within 45 to 47 degree from Sun. That is the elongation limit for Venus. So that should be also satisfied. And the 42 days of pilgrimage of Balarama, that also satisfied. So he started his yatra in Anuradha Nakshatra and returned on hearing the Gada Yutta from Narada. That should be satisfied. And the 58 nights or 56 days of Bhisma's stay, lying on sharp arrow bed from the 10th night of war up to Magha month, Sukla Paksha, Ashtami, Rohini Nakshatra, that also properly derived. So, and the 14th day of moon rise after sunset, that also should be satisfied. So, all these things should be satisfied in deriving the Mahabharata date. Here we have to understand that we cannot take every graha if it is not satisfied with our date as a comet, because graha cannot denote comet at all. Comet usually mentioned as Dhumakedu or Sikhavaja, like that. Many names for comet are in Sanskrit, but graha is any celestial body that attracts the other celestial body. So this comet is entirely different. Graha is entirely different. We should understand. And also, we should not include Neptune, Uranus, Pluto in the derivation of Mahabharata date, because they are all not mentioned in any of the astronomical texts of our nation. That doesn't mean that our ancestors don't know these planets are revolving around the sun. They knew it, but they omitted, because their tidal force and gravitational force is very, very minimal, because Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are situated 2 times the distance of Saturn from Earth, and their mass is less than half the time of Saturn, of the value of Saturn. So their tidal force and gravitational force is very, very minimal. So Pluto is very, very small, even less than Moon. So it has no effect on Earth, either on the human beings or nature and any other thing. That's why our ancestors didn't include them in our Navagraha system. So we should not include. And the best method to derive Mahabharata date war is the traditional method, that is using astronomical data, statistics, and trigonometry calculations described within our text of ancient astronomical text. I will briefly detail about that and how the seasonal variation is there that favors this derivation. That I will show. Is there is any question I can answer, sir? Shall I continue?
Yes, please continue. Please continue.
Okay. The actual derivation, see, in deriving Mahabharata date using precision of equinox as adapted in software, I have a problem that I will discuss in the later part. How I derive the Mahabharata? What is my methodology? That I will explain. See, in our ancient astronomical texts like Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhattiyam, Maharyabhatta Siddhanta, Laghu Bhaskariyam, Mahabhaskariyam, Badeswara Siddhanta, Siddhanta Shiromani, and Sishyadi Vriddhita Tandra, Brahmasputa Siddhanta, like many other astronomical texts, Siddhanta and Karana texts, they adopted one method to derive the positions of the any graha for any date in any month, any year, either in future or in the past. They adopted one method. So they adopted this trigonometric and astronomical calculations. Based on that, we can fix, and also they will give the epochal positions of the graha. Based on that, we can derive. First step is to calculate Agargana calculation. What is Agargana? Agaha means day, Gana means a group. So the number of days from the epochal day. Epochal day is a reference point. On that day at sunrise at Ujjain, we know the mean positions of all Navagraha. It is given in that text. So from that to the required date, what date we want the mean positions of the graha. That is on day, month, year at sunrise. We have to calculate number of days elapsed, completed. For that, the formula is given, and that is known as Agargana calculation. It is in detail described in astronomical text. And from that, we can derive the Madhya position. How? Because these astronomical texts give the number of revolutions of all Navagraha during a period of Mahayuga, that is 43 lakhs 20,000 years. That is 157, 79, 17, 500 days. So in that number of days, how many revolution is there? So what we have calculated the number of days elapsed. So in these days, how many revolutions will be elapsed, completed. So based on that, we can derive the Madhya position, that is mean position of all Navagraha. After that, we have to do Desandra correction. What is Desandra correction? It is longitude correction. So for all USA people, it is morning. So sun already raised in the east. For us, the sun already set in the west. So for you, sun is in the east. For us, the sun is in the west. So this difference. So the because why the longitude of India and the longitude of America is exactly opposite, 180-degree away from that. So we have to do calculation for Desandra correction. That is, all these Graha positions are given in the epochal year in relation to Ujjain longitude. Because in before 1800 Common Era, Ujjain is the prime meridian of all the world. That is 0-degree longitude, like Greenwich of today. So all our ancient astronomical texts describe the Madhya position, mean position of Graha at Ujjain only. So after calculating this, the result will be the mean positions of the Graha at Ujjain. Suppose because all the astronomical events in Mahabharata are described in Hastinapura, whether it is Sri Krishna or Karna or Vyasa, everybody told all these astronomical events in Hastinapura only. So we want the Graha positions at Hastinapura. So Hastinapura's longitude is east by nearly 2-degree, 2.5-degree east of Ujjain. So we have to do Desandra correction. Desandra means longitude. So on those days, our ancestors knew longitude, latitude, every Dirkamsa and Akshamsa, all these calculations. After doing Desandra correction, we can get the mean positions of the Graha at Hastinapura. After that, we want to get the exact or true positions of the Graha. For that, we have to do 3 corrections. That is Shigra correction, Manda correction, Bhujandra correction. What is Bhujandra correction? See, this is sun, you take. This is earth, you can take it. This is the ecliptic, that is the earth's pathway around the sun. So the sun revolves around the earth revolves around the sun in an elliptical circle, not exact circle. So because of that, and also the sun's axis is tilted. See, this is the equator of the celestial equator, or we can say even equator of the earth. But this pathway is like this equator is like that. There is an angle of 23.27 degree. So our 23.27 degree is the tilt of earth on revolving around the sun. So because of these two things, the exact midnight will differ from observed midnight. So there is a midnight difference. That is equation of time. So to correct that, we have to apply Bhujandra correction. So our ancestors, even thousands and thousands of years itself, they know the tilt of Earth's axis and also the elliptical circle of the Earth. How much they are scientific, you can understand. This is Bhujandra correction. There are formula for that. And this Shigra correction and Manda correction, they use R sin theta value. Our ancient texts, Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhatta, Laghu Bhaskariam, Vadeswara Siddhanta, and many ancient astronomical texts, they give the sin theta value, cos theta value, versine theta value. That is Utkarama-jaya. Utkarama-jaya is R into 1 minus cos theta. How much they are mastered in trigonometry, you can understand. So, in Surya Siddhanta, just in 13th sloka, all these things that are given. You can verify. Surya Siddhanta, you can download and verify. In the second Adhyaya, 15 to 27 sloka, all this sin theta, cos theta, versine theta value are given. So, what do you mean by R? Because our Indian people, Indian ancestors, they use the word R. R is nothing but 3438 minutes apart. But it is important because it is the radius of circle expressed in minutes apart. You can understand, you know the formula. The circumference of any circle is 2 pi r. So circumference of any circle is 360 degree. Any circle has 360 degrees. So 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi r. Then r is how many degrees? You can calculate. If you calculate r is how many degrees, and if you convert the degree of arc into minutes of arc, that value is 3438. So this value is given by Aryabhatta, Surya Siddhanta, thousands and thousands of years before present. So they are all scientific. So I have adopted a scientific calculations only to prove that I have explained all these things. Not only that, to show how much our ancestors are highly knowledgeable and mastered in astronomy, that we should understand. What about Manda correction? This Manda correction is for Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus. All these 5 things, there will be Manda correction. All these 7 things. See, this is Earth. This is Sun. The Earth revolves around the Sun in an elliptical circle that I have already shown. Another point is the Sun is not at the center. So it should be here, but it is slightly eccentric. Because of these two, what it changes the velocity of the Earth. This is perihelion, that is nearer to Sun. This is perihelion. This is apohelion. See, when the Earth revolves around the Sun, when it comes to perihelion, it moves slowly. Fastly move. Here it will slow. So here it will move slowly. Here it will so fastly. So the angular velocity of Earth is here more. Here is less. So there is a difference. If you just calculate on constant basis, it will not give correct result. So we have to apply this aspect of science in calculating the positions of the graha. For that, we have to do Manda correction. Manda means slow. Manda Ucha means this is Manda Ucha, where it moves slowly. Manda Nicha means here the slow motion is very low. So this is Manda Nicha, this is Manda Ucha. Already we know the name for perihelion and apohelion. Okay, all the 5 graha also like this move. So for that we have to do Manda correction, where r sin theta values are used. And what is Sigra correction? This is nothing but annual parallax correction for Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn. This is Earth in Pushya month or January you can have. This is a nearby star in the sky. We are seeing this star from this Earth in January month. So the star will be looked apparently here. Though it is here, we will place this star and we will view the star as if it is here. When the Earth moves around the Sun, it reaches in July or Jeshta month or Ashada month. From here, if you see the nearby star, it will be apparently looked here. So initially the star was here, now it is here. So there is a change of position of the star, apparent change of position, change of apparent position. So that is known as annual parallax in modern astronomy. And our ancestors knew this thing. So they want to correct this aspect in deriving the positions of the graha. So they applied a Sigra correction for Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. So they have formulas, both sin theta, cos theta, and versine theta formulas for this. But for Venus and Mercury, they adopted different calculation. Why I will explain later. Because this Mercury and Venus, they are revolving around the Sun within the Earth's orbit. You see, Earth's orbit is this, and Venus and Mercury are revolving within this Earth orbit. So when the Mercury is here or Venus here, it looked as in the same longitude of Sun. Suppose Mercury is here, the longitude of Sun and Mercury will vary. So Mercury is placed away from Sun. That is known as elongation. If the Venus is placed here, this is the elongation of Venus. So the limit of elongation I have already showed. This should be less than 47 degree. This should be less than 28 degree. That is the limit. Because Mercury is next to Sun, so the elongation limit is less. Whereas Venus is just far away from Sun than Mercury. So its elongation limit is 47 degree. So that also our ancestors knew all these things. That's why they kept elongation limit for Venus 47 degree, this for 28 degree. So to calculate that, we have to apply Shigra correction for Venus and Mercury. There is a difference between these two things. See, why I got one difference. This is Earth. Earth revolves around the Sun. This is Mercury, this is Venus. The Earth revolves around the Sun, and Mercury and Venus revolves around the Sun within the Earth's orbit. Whereas Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, they revolve around the Sun outside the Earth's orbit. That's why there is a different calculation for these three, and there is a different calculation for these two. So our ancestors knew very well the positions of the Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter from Sun exactly. So that we should understand. Then what is meant by the trigonometrical calculation? How our ancestors derived all these things? See, this is a circle, and this is the radius of the circle, this one number. So this is a right angle triangle. Suppose the radius cuts this arc of the circle here, and if you draw a perpendicular line to this horizontal line, it will be a right angled triangle. So when there is a right angled triangle, this is theta. So opposite side is sine theta, adjacent side is cos theta. So what do you mean by Kodipala? It is nothing but r cos theta, and Dopala is r sine theta. These two are important in calculating the Shigra correction. And Spuda Kodi is nothing but Kodipala plus or minus 3438. I have explained all 3438 what it means by. It is nothing but the radian of a circle when arc is equal to radius of the circle. So that is we should understand. So this is Kodipala, Dopala, and Spuda Kodi. See, if this triangle if is enlarged, this is the radius, that is hypotenuse. This is cos theta, Kodi Jaya. This is Jaya or Artha Jaya or sin theta. This is Utkarama Jaya, that is r minus 1 minus cos theta. This is the arc of the circle. This is the arc of the circle. So this is all these things our ancestor knew. So this is the origin of trigonometry calculation, trigonometry subject, which is spread to entire world. So this we should understand. And I have to tell about the reference of my point for my calculation. That is from mean positions or graha are given in a text called Ancient Astronomical Text, Graha Lagavam, written by Kanesa Daivanja in the year 1442 Salivagana Saka, that is 1520 Common Era, that is 500 years before present. In that, on the first day, the Prathama Tithi of Chaitra month of 1442nd year of Salivagana Saka, at sunrise, at Ujjain longitude, all the mean positions of the Graha were given in the text. So I took it as a reference point. From that, I calculated the Akargana from that date, and I calculated the mean and the exact position of all Graha. So this thing, one thing we have to understand, that we should know astrology also. So these planets that are within the orbit of Earth and also Sun, Moon have only seventh aspect, whereas this Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, which revolve round outside the Earth's orbit, they have three aspects. For Mars, 478, for Jupiter, 579, and Saturn, 3710. They are the aspects of these graha that we should understand. And Rahu, Ketu, because they are imaginary points, they have no shape and form, so they have no drishti. And we should understand the nakshatra drishti of this Mars and everything. So that is given in Kumaraswamy, an ancient Tamil astrology text. With that, we can derive the positions of the Mars. So I have analyzed a total of 2301 years. That is 4301 BCE to 2000 BCE, and I came to the result. Result I will show in the next part. Only one aspect I have to cover, that is season. what is the season mentioned in Mahabharata war? What is the season at present day? How much it is significant, important in deriving the Mahabharata war? Is there is any discussion or question? After that, I will explain this.
No,
Aditya,
continue. Yeah, Dr.
okay,
Rajan.
okay,
Yes,
okay,
please.
okay, okay. See, all these software that derive Mahabharata date, they use software, any software. But this software is based on precision of equinox. What do you mean by precision of equinox? See, in Indian astronomy, this measure degree, that is Aries 0 degree, is fixed. It won't move. So that near Ayana, it won't move. So it is fixed for all years. Lakhs and lakhs of years, it is fixed. Whereas in Western astronomy, modern astronomy, they think that this equinox, that is the cutting point of, I have already shown, the eclipse and celestial equator, they cut each other at two places. If we keep two bangles, already I have given the example. One bangle is tilted by 23.27 degree, that will cut at 2 points. That is one cutting point is vernal equinox, another one is autumn equinox, spring equinox or autumn equinox. So these cutting points, they will move backwards by a velocity of 50.29 seconds of arc per year. That means they will move 1 degree back in 71.6 years. That is known as precision of equinox. Because of that, because the equinox at place, that depends, that only causes the seasons. It happens because of the tilting of the Earth's axis. So tilting of Earth's axis, because of that, we see that sun sometimes rise in the northeast, sometimes in the southeast. So because of that, seasons will come. So this precision of equinox will cause the change of change of seasons. That means if it is a Vasant Rutu or Chaitra month, if the equinox moves backward, it will come even in Palguna month or Magha month. So the season changes and the month also changes. So that is precision of equinox. So as per this present velocity of equinox, they will cover 360 degree in 25,772 years. So one complete revolution will occur in 25,772 years. So the season will vary in 12 months in 25,772 years. So software programs use Julian or Gregorian calendar. They use precision of equinox because all this software, they adapt to Sayana. That is for them, the Aries 0 degree is not fixed. It is drifting backwards. So Sa Ayana. Sa means with Ayana. That is including this drifting of equinox. Hindu astronomy or Indian astronomy is Mesa 0 degree or Aries 0 degree is fixed. Nirayana. Nirayana, there is no zero. Nir. Zero Ayana. So we are not using in Mahabharata text or any astronomical text of India, they are not using this precision of equinox, and the Graha positions are explained only in Nirayana position. So in 25,772 years, there will be 360 degrees rotation, that is 12 months variation of seasons. Then if we fix Mahabharata war 5,000 years before, or as somebody fixes 7,500 years before, there will be precision of equinox by 60 to 90 degrees. This is the axis of the Earth, and this axis itself rotates. So not only this axis of Earth rotates, the center point of this axis also rotates like a top. If you revolve a top, not only the top revolves on its own axis, but the center point, that nail, that also rotates in some aspect. That is known as precision of equinox. So based on this, if we fix Mahabharata war 5,000 or 7,500 years before, the season should change by 2 to 3 months. For example, you can see in 2014, the vernal equinox is here, but in 13,014, the vernal equinox will be here. So vernal equinox is, this is a hot season, but in this, after 13 years, this is the hot season. So the hot season the month here. Now this month is Jeshta, at the time, or June, July. At the time it will be December, January. That is in Margali or Margasirsa Attai. So that change will be there. So that is precision of weakness, and based on that, the seasonal months will vary in Hindu calendar, Indian calendar. So as per these dates, the Sarad Ritu, because they are using precision of equinox based on the velocity, present velocity of precision of equinox, that is 50.29 seconds of arc per year. So, if we calculate based on that, the Sarad Ritu during Mahabharata war would have occurred either in Margashirsha Pushyaman or Pushya or Magam. But what is the Mahabharata evidence says? In Udyoga Parva, when Sri Krishna left for peace mission, I have shown the sloka, first sloka, that it is Kartika month and Sarad Ritu, end part of Sarad Ritu. So already Kartika month started. Yeah, 1 week has been completed in Kartika month. Only 3 weeks are remaining. So it is end part of Sarad Ritu. So this shows Sarad Ritu begin in this Asvayuja month, and it is going to end after the end of Kartika month, and Hemant Ritu. That is going to happen in the next month, that is Margashirsha month. In Vana Parva of Mahabharata, in 182 Adhyaya 16th Sloka, it clearly mentioned that it is Sarad Ritu and it is Kartika month. So in Mahabharata, there is no seasonal changes. Months of seasons have not changed, and it is as per present day. Present day Sarad Ritu is in Asvayuja and Kartika month. In Mahabharata period also, in Asvayuja, Kartika month. So if as per this precision of equinox and the calculation of Mahabharata date based on software, there should be change of seasonal months. Sarad Ritu should be it Margashirsha or Pushyaman or Pushyamagaman. Since it is not so, as per the internal evidence of Mahabharata, so it contradicts absolutely to the method of derivation of these days using software, especially the date 7,580 years before present. So, what is the correct method is to derive the date of Mahabharata war through the method I have already detailed, that is based on the ancient astronomical texts, because in this precision of equinox is not at all needed to calculate the positions of the Graha. Because today the precision of equinox, we say that it is 24 degree as per Lahiri ephemeris, as per B.V. Raman, it is 21 degree. So there is no uniform acceptance by all scholars. What is the value of precision even today? So we don't know what is the value of precision at Mahabharata period. So the precision for equinox velocity, now it is 15.29 seconds of arc. We don't know what is the value at Mahabharata period, because no literature, in any literature, ancient literature, we have found no reference for this. So we are kept in totally in dark in that area. So without knowing what is the precision, what is the precision velocity, value and velocity, we cannot calculate Mahabharata date using this software method. So what is the best method is using Nirayana position. And this Nirayana position is given in Mahabharata text, and how to calculate Graha position based on Nirayana is given in ancient astronomical texts of our nation. So that should be adopted, and that should only give correct result. This is my conclusion. In the next session, I will talk about what is my result and also other aspects. Thank you for listening patiently to all my explanations. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Aditya ji and Sattology. If there is any question, I can answer now.
So one of the questions which comes to the mind is, and I'll be a little bit going offline, because
Okay, please.
we have to we are speaking to a larger audience, both Western and Indian.
Yes. Please. Ji.
See, what is the relevance of Mahabharata for the Western world and India? India, obviously, we know, but what is the relevance for them in the Western world? Because they They have been taught in the American schools and colleges that Mahabharat is a poetry, and we think it as a historical text. So, what is the relevance for them?
Okay. So first of all, how it is history. See, Veda Vyasa, if it is a poetry or imaginary drama, he won't mention that Draupadi marries 5 persons, and also Krishna using many tactics to win the war. These are all not necessary. Just you would have wrote highlighting Krishna and Panchapandava as a heroes. But he has given what are all the things, tactics, or the what are all the failures of this Panchapandava clearly. So this shows Veda Vyasa wrote what was happened actually. So this itself proves that Mahabharata is history. Then now coming to the archaeological excavations at Sinoli, Dwaraka, Kurukshetra and Hastinapura, they clearly prove that Mahabharata is history. How much it is relevant to the modern world? Because Mahabharata, why Veda Vyasa wrote is to show how we have to live in this earth. What are the lessons we can thought we can get from Mahabharata? So that we should learn. The date is more important. The history is more important. In the same way, what are the lessons we learn from that? How we have to lead our life perfect with affection, without longing for others. It may be object or property or any other. So how we have to lead a dharmic way of life, that is taught in Mahabharata, and we can learn from the failures, the wrong commitment of Pancha Pandava. So we should not commit those mistakes in our life. And at the same time, we can see how Duryodhana is very greedy. So we should not lead a life like that. Duryodhana would have accepted half of the kingdom to Yudhishthira, Dharma, when Sri Krishna asked. He even asked just 5 villages. He would have given happily. This will be settled. But he is very greedy and he is having utter hatred to Panchapandava. We should not have that in our mind. We should love each and every fellow citizens of this universe, and also we should see to that in every living being there is God. So with that, we should lead a perfect life so that we can attain spiritual attainment. That is the lesson we can learn from Mahabharata. So even today, during this corona pandemic, we should live in that harmonious manner throughout the earth. Then there won't be any problem. There won't be any pandemic. Nothing will be. We will happily live. Live and let live. That is the principle of Mahabharata. So I think that is relevant to even today period, to the Western world and also Eastern world. Both all human beings should learn this thing, and it is definitely a history. Nothing that.
Yeah, see, and I'm talking to so many people who are watching us live right now.
Okay.
Mahabharat is a very ancient history.
Yes.
Most of the Western recorded history starts from 1200 or 1100, 600, 700, mostly that it starts with. And before that, even before Christianity and Islam and Judaism, this was the history of the planet. And this is the book which covers all areas of the planet, most of the parts of the planet. And Ramayana even covers more, because Ramayana
Yes.
has a much more global reach than in terms of documentation than Mahabharata. But still, Mahabharata does refer to the whole planet indirectly, many places. So the Mahabharata dating is important for us because many Western scholars have put allegations to make it in line with their date timeline, which is incorrect. Most of the timelines are incorrect. So they have tried to syncretize, that's a technical term they use, that all the histories of the world has to match the birth of Jesus, because otherwise the entire Western civilization has no history after that. So that's why there is a need for us to establish the dates of Mahabharata through Mahabharata text itself. And that's why we focus on that, because the Western world has not taught the real history to their own people. Because if they were to teach, then they will automatically say that Europe was populated by Indians. That it goes completely reverse. It was the Indians who populated
So
the
it
Europe
will
and the
show
West.
their roots.
Yeah, it will show their roots, and to hide their roots. Otherwise, why will it be so? Why will it be so much common that Indian and European genes are the same? It was not the reverse way around, because India is an older civilization. Europe was in snow most of the times. So naturally, people from India, they moved to the West. And some people may say, about the white color, well, the skin of the color doesn't matter in gene theory. The color of the skin doesn't matter, because the color even within India, many people have very fair complexion. and
Yes.
and like if you go to the North India or anywhere, even in the South India, I have seen very fair people in Chennai also, Tamil Nadu, and they have never been outside Chennai. So, or Tamil Nadu, or even Kerala, very fair people. So color of the skin doesn't determine anything. It's the genes theory or the chromosomes which help, and which is pretty much, we can say. And suddenly in America, they have started calling Indians as brown Caucasians now. Suddenly, it's just 2 3 years I've been seeing that term, maybe relevant more longer. The point is that because the Western universities don't teach the real history, at Sattology we say that Mahabharata is relevant to the whole world, because that was never documented or presented as it is. Most of the Western scholars presented Mahabharata from the point of view of justifying their own faith and with their own history, not because of us. So they did a very bad, what you call it, academic criminality to Indians, where they say that you don't have a history, let me teach your history. Unfortunately, due to colonial pressures, India had to learn, or Indian textbooks till date follow the same British colonial education system, where they teach Indians that your history was a fiction, was a mythology. But anyway, Dr. Raja, very good point of view. And if you want to add something, please add, and then we'll end this show.
What you are told is absolutely correct. See, they are not only doing wrong thing to Indians, they are doing wrong thing to American students also by teaching
Beautiful.
a wrong history.
I call it academic
Because hiding
criminality.
facts is a worst thing so committed to anybody. So
Yes,
this I request the American students to study Indian history in an Indian perspective,
correct.
not as taught in American universities. You
Yes.
can go to library, you can download many books about Indian history, and
No,
you
I
can
think
read.
I think that is not required nowadays. Download any book is not good, because if all the books talk about the bad thing, we have to speak about specific authors. So
Yes,
I'll recommend Dr. Raja's book to download and read it, and specific books, because there is no way to. And I think you have a beautiful blog also. I'll share with the students also, uh, because any history, because most of the people are writing crap, so we have to avoid that. Sometimes, a mother has to tell the child, read the right books. They don't
yes,
say read any book, because
yes. That
the
is correct.
character will
What
get.
you are told is absolutely
So
correct.
we have to be very specific, that what to read and what not to read about Indian history. Not everything written about Indian history is true, just like not everything written about American or Western history is truth. So it's the same logic applies on both sides. And thank you so much, Dr. Raja, for coming and sharing, and all the viewers for watching. And do watch it on YouTube and share to your friends. Okay? Thank you.
I thank you, Aditya ji and Sattology team, and also the university professors and students and the scholars who listened this lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste.